And good morning. We are live on the Falcons podcast. We are live on YouTube, but we're going to bring in our Falcons fans, Atlanta Falcons fans on All Falcons. That's on Facebook. You can find them at All Falcons ATL. It's just the same as my Twitter page, actually, for the Falcons. I like to have team specific stuff. So not talking about things you're not interested in, more than usual. Good morning, everybody. This is the Falcons podcast. We are live every Monday morning, and this is the Monday morning after show. My name is Scott Kennedy. I'm your host. I'm in Atlanta. This guy over here, he is Nick Kendall. He's in Seattle. So we go coast to coast with your football coverage for some different perspectives of sorts. Nick, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty darn well. Busy weekend, worked all day Saturday and Sunday doing stuff for the Christmas, baby shower, or baby nursery, all that stuff. But doing well. Still had a chance to watch the Falcons yesterday, unfortunately or fortunately, and my Broncos as well, winning emphatically versus the Chargers. So overall, good weekend, but not feeling as recharged as normal.
Well, that's what this is always here for. The morning after always helps get my blood going. That and some coffee from Patrick and Mike, who sends us some Puerto Rican stuff every so often. Mike Lewitzki. So thank you very much. I'm in the Puerto Rican blend this morning. It's a little harsher, so I might be flying off the walls by the end here. The Atlanta Falcons drop a game. I can't call it a must win because they're still tied for first place. But, if you're really looking at can we take this team seriously or not? Well, then it's kind of a must win because it's really hard to take this Atlanta Falcons team seriously with the games that they've lost, their record, the way they play, et cetera, et cetera. We can get into all of those things. First off, I want to say hello to folks that came in nice and early this morning to join us. We go live because we enjoy the interaction. Love the conversation, love the community that we have here on our Facebook channel, on the YouTube channel, and the comments afterwards and everything. And appreciate everybody coming in, like John Harrell coming in nice and early. He says, good morning, Scott, Nick, and Falcons family. Why are we starting drives inside our 15 passing? Interception, safety, and back-to-back weeks. The safety last week, and this might not be what you meant. That was a toss play, 7 yards deep into the end zone. This one I had trouble with, and I mentioned it I post on my Falcons Twitter page during games, which is All Falcons ATL. And I was like, listen, Ritter is Ritter at this point. He's not going to magically become this hyper-aware, quick decision-making quarterback who takes care of the ball. All of a sudden, we know who he is. You've got 2 offensive tackles missing against a team who's missing their nose guard. Your best player on offense is an interior offensive lineman. And instead of running the ball up the middle at all, really, the first 3 quarters of the game, but especially in this case, why are you dropping 9 yards? Because it was first and goal at the 7. It's not like it was even, first and goal at the 2, where Bijan got stuck after Parker Hesse got blown up on that block. It's at the 7. Why are you doing 7-step drops into the end zone with 2 backup offensive tackles and a quarterback who's had trouble making quick decisions? I know that's on Ritter. I know that. People that were arguing with me on Twitter, well, if Ritter getting rid of the ball, we know. We know all about Ritter. Don't put him in that situation. It's moronic.
Yeah, and we had Arthur Smith talk about this play after the game, saying that the Buccaneers had a good call on it, and typically they'd been conservative in that situation this season, but they were hunting for a big one, dialing it up to Drake London, who had a phenomenal game in this one. So I understand it. At the end of the day, your players need to make plays. I probably would have gone conservative too, as you're talking about, Scott, but also Ritter needs to know that the one thing you can't do there is hold on to the ball, especially if you feel it coming. Find your hot, throw it away, get rid of it. You cannot get sacked there. You can't get pinned on the 1. You can't get pinned and strip sack in the end zone. So I think there's multiple failures on this one, but I circle back more so to Ritter because that feels simple to me. You cannot hold on to the ball if a blitz is coming because it's a deep drop and you're going to be in trouble. And they were.
I'm not putting him in that situation. I already know. See, you're putting it on Ritter. I've already put Ritter, like, he's a constant right now. You know, it's not like I've got variables and he's a constant.
Yeah.
I know he's shaky in these situations. I know that. I know I've got 2 backup linemen, you know, and a new starting center. I know these things. That, to me, that is a failure from the offensive coordinator, play caller. That's a failure. Yeah, because well, it's on Desmond Ridder. Well, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. Both things can be true. Desmond Ridder needs to do this. But I know I have a problem with Desmond Ridder. I know it. I know I've got 3 bulky offensive linemen. Come on. Let's play a little smarter there. So, on that note, always being smart for us. Good morning, Scott and Nick on the Falcons podcast. That's Michael Ranquillo, who gets up nice and early with us on coming out of Arizona. So we appreciate that. And Ryan Adonis, he's pissed. Feel like we lost Ryan yesterday. He was pretty positive. Ryan, you kind of go up and down with these guys. You must be considerably younger than me. You're riding the wave a little bit. You've gone up and down. You know, the last time, I think that the best we felt about this team was probably the last time they played Tampa Bay. They won that game 16-13, but they gave away 20 points in the red zone. Dominated that game. We're like, this is a team that should be favored in virtually every game they play the rest of the way. And they probably have been, you know, until they start stacking losses. You know, they just, the wild inconsistency from this team is just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody involved. And I think that's probably the key word for this team right now is probably frustrating. I mean, if I wanted to use a phrase, it would be loss of opportunity, you know, the missed opportunity. The NFC South is so bad. This schedule the Atlanta Falcons have is so bad. And you're 6-7. I posted yesterday. So the Falcons are 6-7. They have losses to 3-10 Arizona, 4-9 Washington, 4-8 Tennessee, 6-7 Tampa, and then 3 teams with winning record. The combined records of the teams that have beaten the Falcons is 41-49. They have 1 win over a team with a winning record, and that's the 7-6 Houston Texans. This is the easiest schedule we may ever see in our entire lives. And I don't just say statements like that for shock value. I'm serious. With the quarterbacks they have played, the schedule they have played, this is arguably the easiest schedule we'll ever see. They're 6-7.
Yeah, there is a possibility still that your AFC South or NFC South counterparts take a step back cumulatively at some point. I mean, the Panthers still look like a giant mess, Bryce. They're not going to be getting that much better next year talent-wise. We'll see what happens to the coaching staff, but Saints are at some point probably going to take it on the chin cap-wise, and it feels like the Buccaneers are heading towards a really big turning point coming up here because of what their weapons are set up like, and they still don't know what's going on at the quarterback position. But yeah, this is an easy schedule, and everything. I mean, if I had to use a 2-word headline for the Falcons yesterday and on the season, it's missed opportunities. Just left and right missed opportunities, chances to get big plays, chances to sack Baker Mayfield. You know, instead he rumbles forward for a 7-yard loss. You just cannot finish. You have missed opportunities to make game-changing plays and win games, and might cost you in the end, but not costing us today. Greg coming in saying, morning to the fabulous Falcons duo. I was born a normal child in 1962, but came prophetic 4 years later as a little Falcons fan. I knew this game was over when 11 of our first 15 plays were a pass.
What did we talk about, Greg, to start the last week? What could be the key after watching Chuba Hubbard chew up the interior off defensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Well, let's come out and just throw the ball wide and run off tackle. I don't remember seeing really a run go up the middle until like the third quarter when Tyler Algier came in and they're like, okay, we're going to hammer the ball again. And things opened up. Things opened up again. Good to see you, Greg. Red Swarm in here. He says, good Monday morning, everyone. I hope that everyone is in good health and prospering. Absolutely. Sounds like a good Vulcan greeting this morning. Mark Wilson says, good morning, Falcon Nation. Smith has to go. Offense is not good. And Smith was hired as an offensive coach. We have seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. I posted again. Let me share this. I posted a poll last night, or yesterday afternoon after the game. I was like, all right, Falcons fans, you know, where are we at? Where are our heads at? Let me zoom in here expand. We'll zoom in. And basically, I gave the choices. I said, where are we at, Falcons fans? Arthur Smith has to go was option one. This was all about Arthur Smith because basically Desmond Ridder will be back next year, not necessarily as a starter, but he's cheap unless he is part of a trade package to bring in another quarterback or draft pick. It would be as part of a trade package. Unless he's traded, he'll be back next year. Arthur Smith has to go was option one. Smith will stay, but he can stay. I'm okay with him staying, but he's got to hire an offensive coordinator. Smith is fine as the head coach and offensive coordinator. He just needs another quarterback. Or 3 or 4, everything's basically all good. No major changes. He can come back offensive coordinator. Desmond Ridder just needs some more time. That was the option. I think that one got 3.7 of the votes, and those were opposing fans or hit the wrong button. And then 60%, 59.3 said Arthur Smith has to go. And then about 40% came in and said was split between the two. He'll be back, but he needs a new offensive coordinator, or he'll be back and he'll stay the offensive coordinator, but get the man a quarterback. That's where Twitter Falcons fan was, and there were about 650 votes on that, a decent sample size. I just don't know if he'll stay as without calling the plays. If I'm Rich McKay, and we said this last week, and it was strange to me that I got more blowback on it than I was expecting. The negative feedback when I was saying that this Falcons offense is not good enough. They're not playing well enough. We expect more. Well, Scott, it was raining and cold. Okay, fine. What about the other 11 games? You don't end up 25th in scoring after being 15th last year because it was cold and rainy in New York. I get that. I'm not saying they can't be good enough. I'm not saying they will never be good enough. I'm saying they are not good enough, and questions must be asked. They're not doing it right now. Questions must be asked. One of those questions, Nick, is would Arthur Smith hire an offensive coordinator?
He better damn well be considering it, because right now the Falcons offense looks stale, and especially with what they're doing on the ground. I mean, this was one of the things that I was most excited about this season. You have infrastructure in place to be a damn good running team, and overall you're doing okay there, but not to the extent that you'd expect for a team that's built the way the Falcons are. I mean, 3.7 yards per rush is not good enough when you have first round pick after first round pick on the offensive line. You got big body pass catchers to help contribute in the run game, and you spent what you have at the running back position. So I think if Arthur Smith would be stubborn enough, I guess is the word I'll use, to not consider bringing in a new play caller and somebody that he can work with. And I'd even let him, maybe pick the person too. Although that's always can be an issue, but I think the cohesion and trust factor is big in a coaching staff. So somebody that he has to trust still. But if he wouldn't do it, that would be a red flag, and maybe something like, well, if you're not willing to do that and bring in new ideas and be challenged on some things here and there for the good of, just the thought process in the coaching staff, then maybe it's time for new ideas in general in the building and to part ways.
Yeah. And someone asked, what about the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, for me, another quarterback is a given. I think that is absolutely going to happen at this stage of the game. Desmond Ridder has not earned the right to be anointed the starter in 2024. I'm not saying he can't be the starter in 2024. I'm not even saying get rid of him. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying he hasn't shown enough that if I'm going into that season as general manager, I feel the need to upgrade my quarterback room. It may come internally. Desmond Ridder could take that next step. Absolutely. But I'm going to put pressure on him. I'm going to bring in a guy. I'm probably going to try and go first-round quarterback or a veteran, make a move if Justin Fields is available, if Kyler Murray is available in the right price. I'm in the market for a quarterback. If Desmond Ridder beats those guys out, fine. No problem.
Earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part. You still got him under contract for 2 more years, and there are still flashes out there. One aspect that I've really enjoyed over the recent stretch with Ridder is his usage as a red zone weapon in those zone reads. He might have made a wrong read on that one where he ran in for a touchdown where Joe Tryon, I think it was. He changed his last name. It's Tryon something else now. But
because I didn't recognize the person's name. It was like a single digit number 8 had him dead to rights.
Yes.
And Ridder just beat him. Nice play, Dez.
Dez, I've maybe a little bit wrong read there, but overall, that's been a fun part of the game. And we haven't even talked that much about the interception. Going over the numbers of the game, why did you lose this game? I really think, the missed field goals are part of it. We haven't even talked about that yet, but the interception too. You lose the turnover battle 1-0. I don't know if I'm more upset about giving up the one or getting 0 by your defense, considering Baker Mayfield's propensity to throw up YOLO balls, especially when you have Jesse Bates back there. But it's definitely a frustrating loss. And again, I keep coming back to it. Missed opportunities. This is a game that it wasn't a must win, but it was a should win, right? It was a should win. And you didn't do enough to do it in the end. And there's got to be some real soul searching going on in that locker room this week, because that was not a great Tampa team that you lost to, and you had every means to do it, and you just let it go in the end. And I don't think we should let the defense off the hook either. Now, yes, missing Landman, missing Anyamata, Greedy Jarrett as well. He looked about as soft as I'd remember this Falcons team looking this season up the gut. The Buccaneers ran for 4 yards per carry. That screen that White had, what the heck's going on? Bad angles, looked undisciplined. So I don't think we need to let the defense off the hook either. There are reasons for it because of the injuries, but that's the NFL, baby. It's going to happen to you eventually.
I'm not letting him off the hook. And I want to say hey to Rusty. He says the head coach, offensive coordinator / that's all one person right now is trash. I'm done. Let me know when we get a quarterback. That's in there. Again, you're going to have to go after a quarterback. I don't think Heineke's enough of a threat to be a starter. You will upgrade. You will make an effort to upgrade the quarterback room. Michael D. Rush over on Facebook, he goes, Kyler Murray, you guys serious? Have you seen available veteran quarterbacks out there? Have you seen the quarterbacks that people are putting out there? Kyler Murray is going to be one of the best if he's available. The Arizona Cardinals go in the direction of a quarterback. He's going to be one of the best guys available, man. He's better than Ritter right now. There's no doubt in my mind on that one. So you would upgrade the room. Again, what does it come down to? What are the costs? How much of the contract would they be eaten? I'm not going to pay him multiple first-round picks. I might not even go a full first-round pick. And I'm not picking up his contract. But as far as quarterbacks that might be available come April, the pickings are going to be kind of slim, man.
Yeah, and just based on the conversation in the NFL draft, I guess you lose this game and you lose 2 of the next 4. Maybe you are picking somewhere near the top 10 and you have a chance at that quarterback 3 in this class. But I think it's pretty unlikely you're able to get to 1, 2, or 3 to get May/Williams. And it sounds like Jaden Daniels is going to go in the top 10 as well. So you think top 4?
I think he goes top 4.
It's certainly possible. I'm not going to hear it.
It'll be like Anthony Richardson this year, where he comes in, people fall in love with him. It's a quarterback crazy. You see how desperate people are for quarterbacks. I think it goes the big 3 that we've talked about: Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels.
We'll see. I think there's a chance an offensive tackle could go before him with some of those top guys, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's definitely within the realm of possibility. I would say for Anthony Richardson, I think a little bit more tantalizing upside, given he was 3 or 4 years younger coming out, and also built like a tight end, where Daniels is built like 50 pounds lighter. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all. He's been awesome this season. If it wasn't for LSU's defense out there playing like they're trying to tackle greased up deaf guy from Family Guy, we would maybe have a different conversation for Jaden Daniels in the draft and LSU in general this year. But we got Greg coming in saying FedEx when the Falcons absolutely positively have to fire their head coach overnight. Good one, Greg.
Greg, nothing's going to happen in season.
Yeah,
it's just not going to. It's not going to happen in season unless there was some scandal that broke, and those we don't know. Don't expect anything like that to happen. The Falcons could lose out. If they lost to Carolina this weekend, Arthur Smith would be the coach on Monday. It's not going to change. Arthur Blank just doesn't act that way. He fired Dan Quinn midseason because it was a year too late. Mm-hmm. He should have fired him without a doubt. He should have been gone the previous offseason.
Yeah.
So he didn't make it, but he ain't gonna last. And I'm not positive that Arthur Smith is gonna be gone. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. It just feels like an 8-9 type of finish to the season. Do you fire him on that? Again, it's gonna be some tough questions. What are you going to do to improve this offense besides the status quo? Get a quarterback, or at least, try to improve the quarterback room. Again, I'm not icing out Desmond Ritter. but it's not going to be Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke next year. It's going to be Desmond Ridder and who?
Ryan Tannehill.
No, I still believe if they wanted Ryan Tannehill, he'd be at an Atlanta Falcons.
He'd be here already.
Yeah.
I just know
they didn't want Ryan Tannehill.
Human nature, when things are going bad, you don't always push the envelope there. You kind of look for a little bit of comfort and the known quantities. And I would not be, that's worst case scenario. I'm not advocating for that in any means, but sometimes, Scott, maybe I'm hanging out with you too much. What would be the least popular, upsetting route? It would probably be a Arthur Smith back, Ryan Tannehill, Desmond Ridder. I'm not even a Falcons fan. I would be livid for you guys if that was the outcome here. I mean, might as well, I guess anything can happen, but that would be just so milquetoast of an approach. So hopefully that's not the case in the end.
There'd be riots that would go on. I mean, there would be, I don't even know, Falcons fans aren't one to riot. They would just be even more empty seats in the dome. And there's already enough. The lower bowl kind of looks like my background anyway, with the overpricing that they did. And there's nobody going to those games in the lower bowl. That's a different discussion. Two things you talked about I want to hit on. The defense, not letting the defense off the hook. Okay, I'm not either. However, this defense was incredibly shorthanded, we know. In the second and third quarters, the Atlanta Falcons offense did absolutely zero. All they did was 3-and-outs, trade punts, 3-and-outs, trade punts, 5 plays, punt, et cetera, et cetera. That defense wasn't going to be able to hold up. They were squashing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what happens when both of those defenses run out of gas in the fourth quarter because neither offense could extend a drive? Both defenses fell apart. There was, 12-10 going in, close to the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden, it just starts blowing up. Now nobody can stop anybody. That's what happens. So the offense, their lack of ability to play complementary football helped the defense fall apart towards the end. That, and I'm over Richie Grant. He's just not getting it done. That would be a miss on my part. I liked the pick at the time. I was for Richie Grant, and I just don't think he can be out there.
Yeah.
There's got to be, you have to be in the market for another safety in the offseason.
I agree. And for as much as we been lauding Jesse Bates this season, and rightly so, because he's been unbelievable, the angle he took on that Rashard White dump off touchdown pass, I don't know what the hell was going on. He just flew right by him, and it was ugly. Offensive linemen flying down the field and clocking guys. That was ugly. Brandon Swank, I didn't like the last play. We should have went to overtime and regrouped to try to beat them in overtime. You were down by 4. So
it was a 4-point game, brother.
Yeah, unless you have the 4-point play.
That wasn't an option.
Yeah, that's so that wouldn't have happened. Steve Kennedy, good to see you. Appreciate you, Scott. I just keep coming back to stats that stand out in this game. It is the turnovers too, and defense was gassed, but you put up 25 points, and every game is different. But 25 points, where do you think that would average in your points per game this season?
It would be one of the higher ones. I mean, 25 points per game ends up being top 10.
I think you're right around 7-8.
And again, which is kind of what we were expecting, because they were 21 last year, which was 15th. Another field goal, 24, would have put them top 10.
Yep.
I know that, but we can look at it both ways. When you look at it as a Falcons fan, you say, man, that is the offense I've been waiting for. That's what I need to see. If I look at it as a Tampa Bay fan, I say my defense fell apart at the end. They couldn't hold anybody. I look at my defense and say, okay, my defense fell apart. If I'm a Tampa Bay fan, I'm like, where has that offense been? Why can't we run the ball like that all the time? If you remove the bias from it, you look at it and say, both of those defense got worn out because their offenses couldn't do anything. Their offenses were poor for 3 quarters. Both of them. It was awful football for 3 quarters. If either of the offenses were good enough to take charge of the game in the middle of the game, your defenses would not have fallen apart. So I still put this on the offense, even though, again, you score all these points. It might not make a ton of sense to everybody, but if you go through and look at the drive charts, both teams, it's 12-10 for a long time, and it's punt, punt. And the defenses get worn out until all of a sudden both offenses break out. Well, that's because neither offense could. It was the same game. These are the same teams, basically.
I think though while offense, they gave up 9 points directly off of turnovers, even though it says one turnover, the safety is a turnover. You can't have that. So I agree with you there. That is direct lead to points, and the offense takes a majority of blame for that. But the defense giving up 170 yards, rushing? Let me see what it was. 148 yards rushing. Not great, getting pushed up. And also, I was just getting so frustrated, Scott. Baker Mayfield, I know he's a thick boy at quarterback, but how many times can you get in the backfield, get hands on him, and he just is stronger than your edge rusher? The inability to take him down, getting sacked one time. How many times do you think you had your hands on him in the backfield? 6, 7 times, and you only have 1 sack on the game against him? I don't know. I think this is outside of the punting unit, I think there is plenty of blame to go around everywhere in this one. And injuries are a part of it, but injuries are a part of the game. So, again, outside of opinion and punting,
my overall point on this is there's 22 points scored through 41 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 35 points scored in the final.
Yeah.
How many are left? 16 minutes.
Yep.
The defense has played okay.
Yeah.
They just ran out of gas. And I still put, this is my bias kicking in following the Atlanta Falcons. I don't credit the Tampa Bay defense for stopping the Atlanta Falcons offense as much as I blame the Atlanta Falcons offense for stopping the Atlanta Falcons offense. Now, Younghoe Koo. Well, if he had done, I've seen some real comments on him. If he had done his job, those were both 50-plus yard field goals. Both of them that he missed. Younghoe Koo was the most accurate kicker in the history of this game, was 7 of 11 last year on 50-yard field goals. Do you know what the probability of making 2 50-yard field goals are if you are a 7 for 11 kicker? It's 40%. Okay? So you're 40% of making both of those is what the statistics play out to be. The first one that he missed, Ritter takes a 1-yard sack, drops it from 49 to 50. That changes a little bit mentally, if not whatever. We still expect Younghoe Koo to make those because he's that good, but it's still a 50-yarder. That's not a gimme in the NFL anywhere. The next one, as time is running out on the clock, at the end of the half, Arthur Smith runs off tackle behind a backup offensive lineman for no gain. 52, 53-yard field goal and misses it. Dude, get 6 yards, run a curl route or something, and not just play so freaking uber conservative in the middle of the field. You'll drop back in a 9-yard, 7-step drop in your own freaking end zone, but you run off tackle to end the game to get your kicker out there for a 53-yarder. When you play for a 50-plus yard field goal, consciously make that decision that this is what we're going to do when I have options to get some extra yardage and time. You deserve to lose. Don't play for a 50-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Don't get it inside of 50.
Yeah,
It's a mental hurdle. It's like a 225 bench press, whatever you want to say. It's a mental thing. He's 7 of 11, 40% chance of making those. That goes on Arthur Smith as well.
And just the erraticity. Are we a team that's aggressive? Are we a team that's going for it here? A little Jacqueline Hyde. I don't think they know what they want to be. A few more things before we move on over and wrap this up. We have to at least give some flowers. I know we're pissed off today. That rightfully so. That was, again, missed opportunities. The big one for me on this one. Drake London, though, have a bow, man. You deserve better faith than that. That one catch that he had I had to watch it like 3 or 4 times. I was like, did he have like Spider-Man webs or something to pull that one down? It didn't make any sense for the ability to bring that one down, but 10 receptions on 11 targets. So even the efficiency, it wasn't like he was just, getting pelted in bad targets or whatever. I mean, 10 for 11 is unbelievable. 172 yards, no touchdowns, but I mean, have a bow, Drake London. That's why you spent a top 10 pick on a playmaker. And I was happy. I don't agree with the split in terms of passes to throws from the Falcons of 40 dropbacks to 26 rush attempts, but Drake London, man, what a player. Good game, and somebody who needs to be the focal point of the offense going forward, without a doubt.
We're going to hop out of here in just a minute. Dave comes in. He says, I've heard some say they want the offensive line coach fired coming into this game. This is a good O-line coach who you don't want to lose. This comes back to me about Arthur Smith, the head coach. I can't remember his name. It's Dave something. and I should commit it to memory because you brought in 2 backup offensive tackles and had a new starting center, and the offensive line was not the problem in this game. This offensive line coach is phenomenal. Does anybody remember 2021? The offensive line before he got there? 2020. You still had Jake Matthews. You still had Chris Lindstrom. You still had Caleb McGarry. Caleb McGarry was a travesty. He was a complete bust before the offensive line head coach. This offensive line coach is great. The defensive coordinator, Ryan Nielsen, has been great. Jerry Gray, defensive backs coach, has been really good. It's unfortunate we can't get more out of Richie Grant. The overall stuff from Arthur Smith, I like. I like the culture. I like how hard this team plays.
Yeah.
I want the offensive coordinator, play caller, canned. I want that guy fired. I'm okay with the head coach.
Yeah.
How connected are they?
Hard to say. Just missed opportunities again. And you asked earlier the big question, where's Arthur Smith heading? What's going to happen? Can he be fired now? As Ryan Adonis, one of our favorites, says, one of my favorites at least, we still got 4 games left. And I think that is 8-9 acceptable considering where the Falcons are, Scott? I would say no. If you miss the playoffs and you're 8-9, and I'm typically a little bit, I mean, not that you're not, pump the brakes. Let's look at the big picture as well versus the heavy emotions. But 8-9 with the defense playing better than the offense, with an offensive-minded head coach, with the level of premium resources poured into the offense, I get it. You'd have not done it with the quarterback position, but I don't think that was in a vacuum. I don't think that was without the blessing or consideration from Arthur Smith as well. So if they finish 8-9 and the offense finishes bottom 12 in efficiency metrics with how much premium resources are on the offensive side of the ball, that's not enough for me. That's not getting the job done. Maybe losing Nielsen would hurt too, but that's underachieving for where your coach should be achieving and maximizing your talent that you have, and we're not seeing it. So 8-9 playoff finish for me, Scott, with where we are with the numbers on the offense, not good enough. I would be moving on.
Okay, and again, I want to know how connected they are as offensive coordinator. I have to have a new offensive coordinator next year. I have to. That's non-negotiable for me as team president / general manager / owner / fan supporter. I'm not giving any money to the Atlanta Falcons, so I don't know. My voice doesn't really matter. Maurice is out. There's a lot of folks that came in. Busy chat. I will come back. I want to hit some of the comments and stuff after the fact. We didn't get to everybody today. I apologize. We go long. We go about an hour and 10 minutes on Wednesday, so make sure you come back. Hucklebuck has something. That feels like a new name, so welcome. But he brought this into the chat, and it was something that I wanted to say when we were talking about the NFC South and what a travesty is. I was thinking at that time, who would you rather be than the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South right now? Would you want to be the Carolina Panthers? No. Would you want to be the New Orleans Saints and what they're heading towards with the age of their roster and the salary cap? No, that was Falcons 2020. We've seen how that plays out. Would you want to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are trying to come out from under the salary cap right now, who have an aging roster as well? No. The Atlanta Falcons, as we said, missed opportunities. This team, credit to Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. Again, culture building as head coach, picking the players, setting it up. This team is in good shape. It's in good shape because Hucklebuck says Mike Greenberg just said on Get Up Football, I don't know what the name of the show is on ESPN. The Falcons are the worst team with the best talent in the entire NFL. They're completely underachieving, y'all. Completely underachieving this season. Someone asked, where would this team be with a competent quarterback? And I don't say quarterback. I say quarterback play because Arthur Smith is not blameless in this. This team is 11-2. 11-2 with 13th, 11th, 12th ranked quarterback play, QBR / passer rating. They're 11-2. I'll give the Jags. I'll give the Lions. Nobody else. They would. A competent team would waltz through the schedule, and everybody else is saying, "What? They haven't played anybody. This team's a bunch of phonies." Fine, but you're winning. Right now, they're not winning. They're 6-7 against the worst schedule we will ever see.
Yep. Underachieving And that comes down to coaching staff and the opposite of a team that we are watching on the other end. So, yep, that's the biggest coffee mug I've ever seen. I think it's 40 ounces, maybe. I have no idea. It's great, though. I really need it. And shout out to Patrick and Michael for all the good coffee. Definitely need it with the busy weekend and the impending birth of my firstborn coming up here. And Michael coming in saying Arthur Smith's killing the team with some horrible play calling. We still got 4 games left, guys. Whether that be good or bad, this team still has a chance to earn your trust and your approval with 4 games. So we'll see what happens. And guess what? If they've bottomed out, Scott and I are going to have a lot of time to talk quarterback and whatnot this offseason. So we will see. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix.
Yeah, we're leaving, Nick. I'm just trying to show some comments while we're saying goodbye. You don't have to read them out loud.
I'm going to read every single one in here. No, guys, yeah, we do need to get going because I got a baby appointment to run to. Rusty Moore with some advice for me as well. Said, don't look at the placenta, Nick. I was bio pre-med and I had cadaver.
I didn't go below chin, dude. Yeah. That's as low as I'm going in the baby room right there. You want to cut the cord? Hell no, I don't want to cut the cord. Are you insane?
I got a pretty strong stomach and I've been elbow deep into a cadaver.
Yeah, okay, we're done.
So appreciate everyone. Love y'all. You got to have a thick stomach to watch these football teams, right? Or a strong stomach. So appreciate everyone. And yeah, we'll wrap it on up.
Yeah, we're out of here, guys. We'll be back. Thanks, everybody, for coming in today. It was great to see you. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I get back and I try and answer all comments and stuff after the fact on Facebook and YouTube because I love the community. I love the interaction. If you're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. My favorites are, that guy banned me because I disagree with him. No, I banned you because you were being an a-hole. I don't care that you disagree. I'm up for the conversation. I enjoy it. I enjoy the debate. Nick and I disagree on about half the stuff we talk about. Want to say a special thank you to Rusty Moore coming in with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Greg Elrod also coming in green with a super chat. That helps us keep the lights on, which keeps my forehead nice and shiny for everybody so I can get the Peyton Manning references. That one came as I got older. That's a newer one for me through the years, is the Peyton Manning stuff. So wish I had his bank account. Guys, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go over to Mile High Huddle, youtube.com/Mile High Huddle, to talk some Denver Broncos who just got done shellacking the LA Chargers. And if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, you might want to pay attention to the Chargers because you might be in competition for coaches in this offseason. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you being here. We'll see y'all on Wednesday.